Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next, surveying the competition in the AFC. Let's talk. As we all know, the Baltimore Ravens were on a bye week on yesterday, so there was no win, no loss. But in fact, we did move up from the sixth seed to the fifth seed as it pertains to playoff seeding due to the fact that we hold the tiebreaker over the Chargers and they lost last night. But in this particular video, we're going to talk a little bit about each team in their in their respective playoff seedings. So let's start at the very top with the Kansas City Chiefs. As we all know, the Kansas City Chiefs only have one loss, and there is a narrative surrounding them that they have not looked unbeatable. They have not looked as effective and fluent offensively in this particular season. Well, let's tell the truth. That is the same narrative that people tried to put on the Kansas City Chiefs last season, and we see how that turned out. Kansas City, no matter what, is the type of team that you're going to have to beat. They will not beat themselves, no matter how bad they play, no matter how lethargic the offense is, no matter what kind of yards you put up on that defense. You're going to have to beat them, and it's going to go literally to the last seconds of a game. That's why they have that one-loss record, right? And they're the only team, maybe Detroit. I think Detroit has one loss. And so they're only one of two teams with a one-loss record. We understand that going to Kansas City may be a factor of weather. It would definitely be a factor of crowd, but it will all play out on the field. And right now, they're still doing it the best of any team in the league. They are the champs, and in order to be the man, you have to beat the man. And right now, that is the Chiefs. I think the Buffalo Bills, with that loss yesterday in a scoring fest against the Los Angeles Rams, basically help them secure that number one seed. I don't see Kansas City losing more than one game going down the stretch unless some type of unforeseen injury happens. So I think they grab that one seed, they go away and hide, and they get healthy on the bye week of the first round of the playoffs. So when we think about the Buffalo Bills, if you watched that game yesterday, and I did, I watched it from start to finish, and a couple of things I learned about the Bills. I learned that their defense has some vulnerabilities. And those vulnerabilities are against the run, especially between the tackles, right? They have a fast flowing defense, but if you can pound them between the tackles where they have undersized defensive linemen, you can definitely get an advantage on the Buffalo Bills, especially if you have a willingness to do so. The other thing that I saw yesterday as a vulnerability is the deep ball. The Rams continue to go deep, and they continue to either pick up big chunk yards or pass interference plays. And I think that any team can take advantage of the Bills' defense if they establish the run. A lot of those deep shots yesterday were set up with the play action. And although the Rams didn't have a good offensive line, what I saw them do strategically is move the pocket. And so I think that if anybody was watching the Bills yesterday, right, they do have some vulnerabilities defensively, but regardless of who they're missing offensively, they still have firepower, and they still, with Josh Allen at the quarterback position, will put up points. Buffalo is not a team that's going to beat themselves. They're disciplined on both sides of the ball, so you're going to have to beat them. But they do have some vulnerabilities, and if that can be exploited, a team could really compete with Buffalo as they sit right now in the second seed. Okay? If we move to the third seed, right now that's the Pittsburgh Steelers, who beat the Cleveland Browns on yesterday. It was close early, but Jameis Winston, kind of right on schedule, throwed some interceptions, which gave the Pittsburgh Steelers extra shots on offense, and they capitalized on that on those turnovers and really kind of put that game away. Pittsburgh typically brings a good defense, and they do want to run the ball, and they want to make the pass a compliment. Yesterday, that's what the pass game was. The pass game was a compliment, as Russell Wilson, I think, had either a little over 160 or right at 160 in passing yards, which means it was more of a compliment to the run game. Nevertheless, Pittsburgh is still disciplined offensively and defensively. They're consistent, and they are also a team that, if you happen to be that sixth seed, you would have to go there and play Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, which is a difficult place to play. And so I think that as we kind of take a look at who our competition is, those top three seeds absolutely have a real solidified home field advantage. Let's jump down to the fourth seed. The fourth seed right now is the Houston Texans, who I think was on bye week yesterday as well. And Houston has kind of had an up and down season. They got off to kind of a fast start. Some injuries began to take place in the receiving room. The offensive line didn't show that they could hold up to really protect CJ Stroud. And their defense interior kind of became weak or more vulnerable than they had been. And so in the trenches is where the Houston Texans seem to be a little bit suspect, right? They definitely have the potential to be explosive, but it's going to depend on how long that offensive line can block for CJ Stroud. They seem to be the most vulnerable team. Maybe you could say the least likely team to contend for an AFC championship or a Super Bowl, just based on what we've seen this year, whether they played at home or on the road. They seem to be a little bit suspect. We'll see what they look like coming out of the bye week. Will they be revived and be regrouped and continue to feed Joe Mixon? Or will they seem to bring more balance offensively and defensively and become more consistent as they go down the stretch? That remains to be seen. The Baltimore Ravens right now are the fifth seed, right? So we actually gained one spot being off yesterday. So it's kind of like having a win, if you could think about it that way. But the Ravens are a team that there is some questions about, right? What are they going to do at wide receiver? Is Rashad Bateman going to be healthy? Is Deontay Johnson ever going to rejoin the Ravens again? Can the defense, can they keep up their winning ways, their improved play over the last several weeks? So there's a lot more questions than we have answers. We won't know the answers to those questions until we get on the field next Sunday and kind of put into play the things we've been implementing over this bye week. Nevertheless, I think that we do have the potential to catch the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know that we will. That catching of the Pittsburgh Steelers would be going 2-0 over the next two games, one against the Giants, the other against the Steelers, and then kind of let the cards then kind of let the cards fall where they may over those last 2 weeks of the season. But right now, it looks like the Ravens are going to Houston in the first round, and we'll get a preview of that in a couple of weeks. Actually, it's the last game of the season. I think that's Christmas Day before the playoffs start. If I'm thinking, no. We play Houston in 3 weeks. Cleveland's the last game of the season. So we'll kind of get a preview of the playoff matchup if we remain in that fifth seed. If you jump down to the Los Angeles Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers are a team who are not ready yet, right? They have been improved with good coaching. Justin Herbert has improved his turnovers. He's finally trying to get healthy. They have improved their offensive line. They're trying to play big time ball in the trenches, and they're really trying to be a bully, right? They're literally becoming the Ravens of the West Coast, right? But they're just not there yet. I think they are 1 year away. I think that they are a wide receiver away, and I think that they are probably a running back away. Now, do I want them to be great? No, I don't really care about what they do necessarily. I'm just talking about the competition. I think that it will be difficult for the Chargers to go to a Pittsburgh and beat Pittsburgh, but they do have some advantages when going to Pittsburgh. They have good play in the secondary. They have two pass rushers who can get to the quarterback, and they have a quarterback who can make every throw on the field. So all you need is a team to stick around, and the Chargers could have the potential to give Pittsburgh some competition if all the seedings remain. But we'll see what the Chargers become as the season closes out. And then finally, we have two teams that are competing for that seventh seed, and that's that's the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins, who are still alive. The Denver Broncos are also ahead of schedule. Nobody really expected them to compete for the playoffs with a rookie quarterback, but that's just what they've done. I think that's good coaching, good scheme, and good implementation of that scheme. I think Denver could be the surprise team in the playoffs. They're not going to make any real noise, I don't believe, but I think they'll be excited just to make the dance. And the Miami Dolphins, who struggled earlier this season with some injuries and things of that nature, they are now getting themselves together. Tua is back to being accurate, back to throwing the ball all over the field. And I think that they could be a dangerous team in the playoffs if they didn't have to go to a cold weathered place to play, right? If Miami overtakes, for example, the Broncos and gets to the seventh seed, they're going to either Buffalo or Pittsburgh, right? If they move up to six, they're still going to Pittsburgh or Buffalo, right? Even if they swap places. And so I don't know if Miami has the mentality to go to a cold weather place to win. Let me sum this whole thing up. Of all 7 teams, 8 teams, if you include the Dolphins, I think that the Baltimore Ravens are the wild card of the whole playoffs. And I'll tell you why. It's not really because the Baltimore Ravens are my team, but I think they're the wild card because they probably have the most to discover about themselves, right? Are they going to come back after the bye week with some fortitude? Are they going to come back with a kind of an improved scheme? Are they going to come back and be more disciplined? Are they going to cut out the penalties? Is the defense going to play better or continue to play better? Is the offense going to get back on track? Are they going to find themselves with a good balance between the run game and the pass game? Is the play action going to come back alive? Is Lamar Jackson going to find the deep ball once again? All of those things are real questions. I think they have to really decide on some of the players on the end of the roster. Is Keaton Mitchell at a position and place where he's going to be healthy enough to contribute, or does he need to go back on the IR and be replaced with a healthy player? Are they going to eventually place Deontay Johnson on the permanent suspension list and open up his roster spot for another player? All of those questions are real, and I think they need to answer those questions probably over the next couple of weeks. And then it's going to come down to, can we block things up, right? Can this offensive line get back to a game 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 where they were more consistent in the run blocking and pass blocking, or are we going to see more of what we saw from Pittsburgh up and through the Philadelphia game? So I think we are the wild card. You know who the Chiefs are. You know who the Buffalo Bills are. You know who Pittsburgh is. You know what Houston is and what they are not. But Baltimore, there's some questions I'm going to need to answer. So listen, I'm your guy, Boulanger. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. We got more content coming to you this week, and I'm out.